Hello and welcome to the Daring and Mighty podcast with me, Katie Phillips. And today we have a special segment. It's called Sisters on Speed Dial. And the sister that I have had on my speed dial for about 24 years is my very, very dear friend, Jennie Harland-Khan. Jen is also a transformation coach, and we have been close friends for a very long time. We had children around about the same time. We've gone through pre-motherhood, early motherhood, empty nest motherhood together. We've moved through all the different phases and stages of our business together. And what I would say is about Jen, she has always been just one step ahead of me. So she had her first baby a couple years before I did. She started her coaching business a couple years before I did. And she went through what I have come to call and have been speaking about on recent episodes, the sacred void. She went through hers a couple years before I did. So we kind of track a very similar path in very many ways. We have a lot in common and we live very different lives. Jen, I met in England. She, with her family, then relocated to Chamonix in France. Then they relocated as a family to Bali, where they now live. And I'm here in America. So the view outside our windows right now is somewhat different. And we share so much in common as well. And I'm so excited to talk to her today and for her to share her story around her experience of the sacred void with you. She has a lot to share. She is a very, very wise woman. And I'm sure you're going to take some really juicy nuggets away from this conversation. Take notes, enjoy, and please be sure to let me know after the episode how it landed for you, any comments that you have. I really do love to hear. Thank you so much for joining. And remember, you are daring and mighty. Hey, Jen.
Hi, friend.
Hello, my friend. It's so good to see you.
Oh, you too.
Yeah.
I prefer it to be in person, but yeah.
I know. But we have similar weather. You're like sweaty and humid
I
in
know. I
Bali,
literally
and
come off the beach walking the dogs, and I'm like,
yeah.
oh, aircon's on.
I just ramped up our aircon as well, but we're like end of the day or beginning of the day.
Yeah.
Oh, now the weather's out the way, let's dive in, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it. What are we talking about?
We're talking about what I call the sacred void. Before we
Yeah.
dive into it, what did you call it or do you call it?
Um, I'd say it depended on the day and what was happening. Sometimes it was sacred, sometimes it was the fucking void.
Yes.
Yeah.
Relentless void.
I think still the void. Yeah. I mean, it really depended on the the place that I was in at the time, which obviously fluctuated, shall we say. Yeah.
Void's a funny word, isn't it? Because it suggests nothing,
Yeah. Hmm.
but it's not
Yeah. It's
nothing.
not really nothing. It's I was thinking about it the other day, and hindsight is always a great thing,
Mm.
right? And I suppose my experience of it, and probably yours as well, is that we call it the void when our careers seem to splutter, shall we say. To take for me, it was like, oh, I'm not doing anything in the world, as in I'm not working as I used to be. I've got no motivation. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing anymore. And that's when it became the void. But when I look back at it and I see everything that kind of occurred during the void, yeah. Although on that front, I was doing nothing, there was so much going on.
So
So,
much going on.
yeah.
So can you remember when it began for you? Is there like a a moment? Was it gradual? How did it happen for you?
I think if I remember rightly, it was quite sudden. Um, well, again, it felt sudden, but then when I look back, it's like, oh, okay, that was probably coming. And
Yeah.
it was actually the beginning of 2020, 21, I
hmm
think.
hmm
Either 21 or 20. God, I don't even know. 21 or 22. Can't remember. It was definitely post that first year of COVID. And we'd been sort of stuck in Australia for 10 months. I say stuck with inverted commas because it was a very nice time for us, thankfully.
Turned out
Uh,
quite well for you, didn't it, actually
it
getting
did.
there?
It did, yes. But I do remember, obviously there's a lot going on that year. And as much as it for us was seemingly, again, a incredible time, hindsight looking back at all the things that it triggered, maybe not so rosy.
Mm,
But I do remember, and this is something for me that it just happens for me personally. I get kind of like a directive, like I get told from
mhm.
up there, and it was a very clear stop. I was like, oh, and whenever these happen, I usually have a bit of an argument. So I'm like, what do you mean stop? I mean, sounds lovely, but this is not good timing at all. And but it was clear. It was you
What?
need to just stop.
So the directive to stop, why wasn't it good timing?
Well, in my rational brain, it wasn't good timing because financially it wasn't a good time.
Right.
So yeah, so one of the things during COVID, we or my husband had spent years creating, building this amazing, as you know,
Mm,
development in Morocco, and 2020 going into 2021 because of COVID, it just tanked. So financially, that was very poor timing. When you own something of that nature in the tourism world, you
mm,
can't just kind of put that on pause. You have salaries to pay, you have the lights to keep on, you have everyone to keep happy. So there was a lot coming out every month. And of course, Morocco was closed, so all cancellations. And we had to refund everything for a year. So I would say that was the main thing. Um, and so my income, was always the thing that would kind of like keep us going on a month to month basis and get us through that. And then suddenly I had this stop. And at the same time, we had a actually a buyer pull out within the week we were supposed to sign, um, for a very tidy sum
mm.
towards the end of 2020. Yes, I moved that, I promise.
That was
Not
a sliding door moment right there,
That
wasn't
was such a sliding door moment. And then I think it was March 21. We had another investor that was about to sign, and then the Russian-Ukraine war kicked off. So we had two big financial moments plus COVID. And then me being the kind of more steady bringer inner, as it were.
Well, I
Um,
mean, you'd been running your coaching business for many years at that point.
yeah,
So yes, you had
yeah,
some
yeah.
steady business coming through.
Yeah, and so to get that directive at a time when, it felt like, oh, I should continue and I should be the one supporting my husband and doing all the things and da 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 da, for me to get no, you got to stop now. Oh, it was not a rational, logical thing.
Yeah,
So,
and it's interesting, isn't it? I'm hearing you say should. You know,
mhm,
I should step up my business. I should be the one that
yeah,
contributes, or and then
yeah,
Directive. Okay.
Yeah, but it's like shoulds no longer worked.
Right. Yes.
Not an option. It was as if all of that was stripped away. And I'm pausing because I'm thinking about it. It was stripped away in that respect, but also pretty much everything else as well. And it's interesting when shoulds fall away, you get to see what you're left with. There's the void. And to be honest, I don't feel like I'm someone that operates that heavily on shoulds. I feel like I, have lived a life where I've chosen, like I really have. But even the most kind of insidious things that you're not even aware of,
Mm.
I became very aware of. Um, yeah. So that was an interesting one. And it meant sitting.
So this is a conversation I have with women all the time. There's this desire to be able to be still. There's a desire to soften and surrender and just be. And then there's another part of them that just absolutely
Yeah.
no, I can't do that. And I remember, if I'm just realizing as we're speaking, I remember when I was in the void, the idea of stopping my business, and it is interesting. It is to do with business, to do with purpose, to do with the doing. The idea
Yes.
of stopping that, I remember anyone that would listen, I'd say, it's like I'm being asked to change the color of my eyes.
Yeah.
It's impossible. How does one do that?
Mm.
And I was already
Yeah.
practicing, and I've been a feminine empowerment coach for a long time. I was teaching masculine, feminine energy principles. I was very much walking my talk in terms of, really living into being in my feminine. Apparently, there
Yeah.
was more to come. How do you do that? That you said you had to be still. How did you do
Yeah.
that?
I literally was still. I mean, it wasn't comfortable. It does help that I live in Bali, and I will give myself that.
Yeah.
um, so it it would mean that I would do the simplest things. So for
Mhm.
me, getting up in the morning, walking my dogs on the beach, sitting in this beautiful little kind of warong beach bar thing, having a coconut, and I would sit. I would just sit, and then I would come home, and then I would sit. And I also didn't feel like I had the money to go do anything else, to be honest. Um, and yeah, I remember I would just sit on my kind of sofa thing, and I wouldn't be reading. I would literally sit, and it was like someone just taking, yeah, kind of tying your hands behind the back.
I mean,
Uh,
you weren't even meditating, right? Like
no, no,
sitting for you. Well, I mean, look, there's going to be a lot of people listening to this going, what is she talking about?
I know.
She just sat, like, did you stare at a wall? Did you watch the birds fly by? Like, what were you doing? Was there,
Yeah.
like, I want to ask, what are you doing?
What are you doing? Yeah, definitely wasn't meditating because I'm not particularly a meditator, so that wasn't a thing. Um, Dogs helped. They would kind of lie next to me, and I would have my dogs.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, I literally, it's a very hard one to answer because I wasn't filling the time with something else, and the days actually would just go by.
Mhm.
I don't even know how. I would
Mhm.
maybe go for a coffee or something, but then I would come back, and and I would sit.
That's
I
really
had a lot of,
exciting.
I did have a lot of conversations with Babs, my husband. You know, we had the space, or certainly I had the space, um, to to spend a lot of time together
Mm.
in conversation. And I would also get these kind of like, again, directives to, if I was to do anything, it was to go somewhere. And I remember a few of these. It would be go, like, you're going away tonight. And again, it'd be like, what do you mean I'm going away tonight? This is not the time for me to be going away. Like, that costs money, etc., etc. And again, in 21, it was a lot easier because Bali was still shut down. And everything prices, I mean, Bali's Bali, but it was, a lot easier to do that. And so I would take myself off for a night somewhere and just sit in nature. And I definitely, as much as the sitting feel sounds very luxurious, what's going on in your head at the time is not.
Yeah, so how did that feel? And what was the experience like of it? What was going on in your head?
Oh, I mean, there was a lot. There was a lot going on in my head. It's almost like, I kind of describe it as like an initiation process. It's what it felt like.
Mhm.
It's like all the things that everything, like the identity that we have wrapped up in what we do in the world and what we're seen to be doing, and then what you've got to talk about when you see people, speak to people.
Mm.
Um, we're so reliant on that stuff, and it becomes us. And so my initiation was, who am I without that? And as it continued right up until, I would say, this time last year. Um, so that's, good 4 years, I think.
Yeah.
As it continued, like more initiations came of each kind of area of my life where there was some kind of attachment. And I was shown basically, where are you attached? Where are you defining yourself based on that? And it was almost like, okay, so now we're going to have to let go of that one. And now it's like a shedding. It's like a shedding of this kind of egoic persona that we create. And each piece was a huge challenge. Um, and the navigation of that. And that's why I say, when I look back and think, oh, I did nothing, it's like, oh no, that is not true. But it was all internal.
Yes.
Mm.
And in terms of the shedding and letting go of different aspects, there was one, I know they were all big, and I know there was
I'm
one,
like, which one?
yeah, there was one that was really big, which is when I came to visit you
Oh,
in
that
Perth.
one. Well, it's so funny because I'm like, is that the big one?
Do you want to
Because not
speak
in
to
my
it? Because
mind.
I think it's pretty incredible that you had the directive to stop and then this happened for you.
Yeah,
And by the way, I had the directive to stop and this happened for you. And because I had created space for myself, I was
yeah,
able to come to you. Do you
yeah,
want to speak to
yeah,
that?
of course. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm hesitating because it was the big one. Probably for me, it wasn't the biggest one, surprisingly, but it was the beginning of 23. And the irony is, I'd been in Australia for Christmas. And so again, you might think, whoa, how did you go to Australia if you didn't have any money? Because we were gifted it,
Yeah.
basically. It wasn't something that we could do, even hopping over from Bali. And but I'd felt a bit of energy come back, and I was like, right. And I remember even posting on Facebook, I think the beginning of January, because I've been quiet for ages. And I even wrote, I'm back, which is very funny because that was the name of my book way back,
Yes, it was.
way back when in like 20, sorry, I don't know how many years ago, 15, 14 years ago, whatever it was called I'm Back. And it was post, that was written post kids in another kind of void going, I don't know who the hell I am anymore. My identity is shot. I have no clue. And that was my kind of way back into my next phase. So the irony of me saying I'm back, it wasn't lost on me. And then, I mean, I don't know why I'm laughing, but 3 days later, I then had a cancer diagnosis. And I was like, oh, maybe I'm not back. Interesting timing. I mean, it was literally 3 or 4 days apart. And so once again, there was this like, no, you're not done. You're not done. And so it was the next thing. It was the next thing for me to navigate. Who am I without my health
Yeah.
that I've always taken for granted?
Yeah.
I've never had any health issues. I've like,
No,
nothing.
you're fit.
Like,
I've never known you not to be fit and healthy.
no, super
Yeah.
fit, super healthy. And suddenly I'm like, oh, I have a tumor the size of this. I mean, it's another story as to why I had not done anything about it, but size of that on the back of my leg.
And for those listening to just audio, not video, what size are we talking? Bigger than an orange,
Yeah,
right?
so and it was about 10 centimeters by 6 by 3 to be precise,
Oh,
which
was it?
is
Okay. Okay.
quite big, on the back of my right thigh. And I'd been told it was a lipoma, which is a fat sac, and I'm like, oh, I've got a fat sac, oh God, I've got a fat sac. And then my brother-in-law, thank the Lord for him, in Australia, he's an orthopedic surgeon, and he took one look at it and said, we need to get that checked out. Like, but it's a fat sac, it's fine. And it turns out it wasn't. And the next 6 months was a bit of a whirlwind in terms of countless scans, treatment, operation, all the things. But it was another period of, okay, I need to surrender again. Like, I am not ready to, like, I'm not done. Clearly, this is something that, again, I need some kind of initiation in, because, fit and healthy, we can, again, it's external. Like, I look fit and healthy. It's like the job, the career, it's external. But actually, what is going on internally? And
Mm.
to me, any kind of cancer is toxic energy that's stored, that's held, that hasn't been expressed, processed, whatever it is. So then it was like, all right, what's this all about? So I then had to kind of do the deep dive into that. And yes, and that was when you, my guardian angel, were like, you're not doing that yourself.
Mm. And
You jumped on a plane.
it makes me so emotional to remember that, because now it's just, I don't know, it's a part of our history, right? That we went through that. And what a blessing because when you were going through your void for that couple of years leading into that cancer diagnosis,
Yeah.
we talked a lot. I never really got it,
No.
because I hadn't experienced it. And I would listen to you and I would think, gosh, that's brave that she's honoring the directive. But I never really got it. And then
Yeah.
when it hit me, which was the 1st of January, 2023,
Mm-hmm.
I got it was so strong, and the word was stop.
Oh.
And
Yeah.
it was just, and I think that was what was your directive?
Yeah, stop.
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 Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was so powerful. And I remember driving home. We'd been at a New Year's Eve party and we stayed the night with friends, and we were driving home the next day. And I said to James, I have to stop. And at first he was like, well, he paused for a minute and then he realized what I meant because, running your own business, you have times that you think, oh, I'm just going to go get a job.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That would be easier. I mean, it's never
Yeah.
an option, truthfully, but we have
No.
those moments when we feel like it'll just be easier to be employed by somebody else. And he's been with me through many of those moments of throwing my toys and having a tantrum about something. But this was different. And I said, I need to stop. And when I say stop, I mean like really stop. And he said, okay, so stop.
Hmm.
And I burst into tears because he gave me permission. He
Yeah.
could have said, he could have rallied me. Come on, Katie,
Okay.
you've been there before, but he felt the difference. And
Yeah.
because I listened and immediately pulled back from everything, I had launches planned for February. I cancelled them. I had all sorts of things planned in the diary because I was, a good business girl and I had my year planned out.
Well, I remember when you were in Australia, it was like the fish on the end of the line. You were still flapping around.
Trying to let it all go.
Yeah. I'm like, you gotta stop. You gotta stop.
Yeah. And it was the call from you about your diagnosis and realizing you had the radiation treatment beginning, and it was just, oh, well, I'm coming. And oh my gosh, I can because I have
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. Amazing.
So there was that gift.
And,
And
and
then
and that was one of the best weeks ever.
we had the best week
We had
ever.
the best time. I mean, I have to say, I call my tumor the lovely lady lump
Yes.
because I can't even. I mean, there would be a very long podcast to talk about all the gifts that came from this lump, shall we say,
Mm.
and that being one of them. I mean, how often in the past, well, since we've had kids, so the past 20 years, have we been able to have non-stop, uninterrupted girl time?
It had never happened before. And
No.
we found ourselves just you and me. We did a
Yeah.
big health cleanse, although I didn't give up the wine. Uh, and we walked the beach and we talked and talked and talked and talked and had
Yeah.
jolly nights. And then we went and saw Harry Styles.
When? When? Which my girls from Bali gifted me, which was
Yeah.
gifted us, which was,
Yeah.
yeah, it was a beautiful thing.
So let's speak a little bit more about the gifts of the void for you. Can you tap into what other gifts came from listening to the directive to stop? What else has
Yeah,
come from that for you?
gosh, there's so many. I mean, where to start? Uh, I think one that was a running theme was connection, like real deep connection,
Mm.
because I had space. I had the space to be present with myself. So connection to myself, connection to Babs, connection to my friends. My friendships, I would say now as a result, my kind of global friendships, and I've got a beautiful circle here in Bali. They're the deepest they've ever been because they became the most important thing. And yeah, throughout, like, my female friendships, just beyond anything I could have imagined now. I mean, I've always been strong in that area, but I really did put it first. And one of the things that I did do when I got the diagnosis was like, I really reached out to friends. Like, I mean, you obviously jumped in, I'm coming. My sister jumped in, I'm coming. Um, but what I did was actually set up kind of a WhatsApp group for my Bali friends who were kind of disparate at the time, I would say. And because of it, there was suddenly this sort of circle of women that came together
Mm.
because I asked for help.
I
Or I
really,
didn't actually I didn't, that's a lie. I didn't ask for help. I just asked for kind of like, can you be a part of this with me? Rather than, I wasn't a victim in it. It was more, I wanted to be able to express and talk about it rather than go through this on my own.
yeah, yes, I remember that. It was more, can you move through this with me? Let's do this together. Not,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and it sort of rippled out to people. We had like theme tunes. We had, people started, I don't know, friends just started getting together more, and then of course there was the trip of my global girlfriends communities that totally came out of this void and diagnosis. Because I remember actually you were in Australia and you were talking about with me, and you were talking about how hard it was just having sisterhood around you, like in situ. Because I'm very lucky that I've got that in Bali. And then I had this kind of, I remember the seed was born of like, this is what I do. I connect people. Like, I need to connect my circles together somehow.
Yeah, we
And
were talking about how important it is to be in the room together, and
yeah,
especially for women. I mean, for all humans. And I think there's something about women where that's just so key. And I remember saying to you, and this is still a thing for me, my dearest friends are all over the world. So the opportunity of ever getting us together is so rare. So yeah, we were speaking to this, and then you had this incredible download.
yeah. Well, it happened in a couple of stages. One was through a guided visualization, which I never do because I'm like, put me in a visualization. I'm like shopping lists, and in my
Was
mind
that
just,
what was that, the Akashic Records
yeah,
experience? Yes.
exactly. So that was that, and I had this vision of Mermaid Land. It sounds ridiculous, but Mermaid Land, which was basically a group of mermaids, of females, in the most beautiful kind of Rivendell like setting where everyone was just being,
Hmm.
whether laughing, sleeping, swimming, chatting, like whatever it was, these women were just being with each other. And the vibe, the kind of frequency that I felt was just so pure. It was pure love. And I remember when I was having the visualization, I was looking for Kate Blanchett. I was looking for, what's her name? What's her name? Gladriel? I don't know.
I, d- I, I don't know, but Kate Blanchett.
Riverdale lady, Kate Blanchett, like the leader, and there was
Yeah.
no leader. And that was the thing that really stood out for me, was that in this beingness, in this community, in Mermaid Land, it it was just community. And
Mm.
so, and then that triggered when I was in hospital recovering from surgery. That's when I got I need to get everyone together. And then that's what happened. And so, cut a long story short, 10 of you, 9 of you came from all over the world, and we did a pilgrimage through Bali, which was next
And
level.
like and all over the world. So we came from Mexico, America, Australia, England, um,
France.
France.
Uh,
About it, really. Well, we've covered 5 continents, I think, there.
yeah. Yeah.
I, I don't know, did we? But it was, yeah, we literally all came in.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And to relate that back to the void, I think, what happened when you give yourself that spaciousness, there is space for these things to pop up, like the wisdom, the clarity, the directives, because when we're just on it and we're making the schedule and we're kind of on the next thing for work, and this is my diary and I've got to call there and I've got to call there, like there is no space for that. And so,
It's true.
when you allow this I mean, it's like, the old age-old saying of, you're in the shower and something pops in. Well, it's that on steroids.
Yes.
And I became really, really good, I mean, at listening and then acting on the thing. And it wasn't, again, it didn't all make sense because, say, for example, the mermaid trip, you guys coming, what I was very clear was, okay, you get here, but I'm going to take care of everything the moment you arrive,
And you did.
financially for like 10 people.
Yeah.
I had nothing. Like I had absolutely nothing at that stage, right up until the day you arrived and even halfway into the trip. But it was so, no, this is what you're doing. And
Yeah.
so when you're stripped of the things that we usually rely on, like our intellect, our, what we do in the world,
Mm.
when you're stripped of all of that, what you're left with is your own wisdom. And the question is, are you willing to trust it? And I think that for me has been the biggest initiation. It is something that I've always had, I will say that, but it's gone to a next level. And not only that, it's, do I trust the wisdom in others as well? Because
Hmm.
I think, one of the things that has particularly for women, is that we step into caretaking role,
Mm.
like really, it's like, say for example, with Babs, my husband, and him going through this whole huge journey with his work and financially and all the things, and was so tough to watch. It was painful to watch. But up until that point, it would be like, I've got you. I have got you. You're going through what you need to go through. I've got you. I will, be the breadwinner. I'll do it. Da, 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 da. And I had to let that go. And I had to take a step back and I had to watch what he needed to go through.
Yeah.
And that was a tough one. And what I did realize was that was part of the cancer journey. Like that accumulation in that tumor was actually me not doing that. Was me on his back, like, come on then, so what are you doing? What are you doing? There was a bit of martyr in there. There was a bit of resentment. There was a bit of like, come on, your turn.
Mm.
And that sort of wrapped up in this, oh, I'm here, I've got you. Like, no.
Well, there was an element of the tumor was it was many things, wasn't it, in terms of holding on, but part of the holding on was feeling responsible for him, even if that responsibility was encouraging him or being the
Yeah.
martyr and saying, well, where are you at with it? It was,
Yeah.
but there was an attachment to what was going on for him.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it really was. And it was, there was a holding myself back as well. Like, I
Mm.
can't do this until this happens. I can't do this until this happens, and
Mm.
so again, I had to let all that go. And at the same time that all this was happening was when Lita, my daughter, started also 21. Through that entire period, actually, no no coincidence, that she started spiraling through her mental health journey, through, the anxiety and eating disorder, panic attacks. Like, it was that was the toughest thing. That's when I say cancer, you know. Watching her go through that was without a doubt the toughest thing. And what I realize now looking back is, had I been in my go, go, go energy, I couldn't have been there for her. But the irony is about what she was going through. It wasn't something I could fix.
No.
It wasn't something I could fix. I had to again lean into just sitting with her. It's because I've had some practice. I mean, I remember days of just sitting on the bed and she's like clawing at the bed covers and her head and just going through such pain. And I had to just sit there and just breathe next to her and trust that her wisdom would prevail, and that she would move through this.
Dallin, this is all making me realize, because we're recording this now. I haven't yet done my solo podcast on my experience of the void yet. That's coming. And it might come out before I put this out, but it doesn't matter about the order. I haven't recorded it yet. And I'm remembering and realizing that my directive to stop, first of all, connection was a huge part of that. I remember vividly another friend was going through a cancer journey and she was writing a blog. And I was able to stop and I read her blog whenever it came out. And I know that if I was in another launch cycle, I would never have read her blog. And I remember feeling so blessed that I got to do her the honor of reading her blog rather than being a thing on my to-do list that I should do, like it's some kind of burden for my friend and what she was going through. And just the privilege of reading it and thinking, oh my gosh, how before I wouldn't have taken the time. And what does that say about me?
Yeah.
Right. So the connection piece is very resonant for me. And also my son,
Yeah.
his dad had died a few months earlier. And then when I stopped, we were a few months off our international move to the States. And because I'd stopped, and I will say this, and I'll say this for you too, both of us are very conscious parents. So even if we were launching, even if we were really busy driving a business forward, we still had the consciousness to be with our children when they needed us. So I don't doubt that. And I know that the amount of time and space, I'll speak for me, that I had with Finn when he too, it's what nearly brought me to tears just then, when you described Lita gripping the sheets and not knowing
Yeah.
what to do with the surge of emotion.
Yeah.
And I remember watching Finn do the same with his grief
Yeah.
and having zero distraction. I had nowhere else to be except to sit and hold space for my child. And same thing, Jen. I was able to tap into the wisdom of he's on
Yeah.
his journey. Look
Yeah.
at us both, we're like,
I
he's on
know.
his journey, and
Yeah.
my role is to hold him safe as he moves through it. And I had complete 100% availability for him. I wasn't trying to be anywhere. I wasn't in my head thinking, shit, this is going to
Yeah.
put me back a couple of hours. I'm going to have to
Yeah.
catch
Yeah. Yeah.
or reschedule a call or whatever. I was just available. And then, of course, he was settling into a new country. Then he was settling into a new school, and he took a while to meet friends. And I was available.
Yeah.
I wasn't distracted. I could hold space for that. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a gift.
And I don't think there's any surprise either, like this time of life. Um, a lot of people I know who are in the void, it's this time of life with teenage kids, you know, and then
Yeah.
there's the whole menopause thing. We can talk about that. But yeah, so when you track it and you look back and it's like, there is nothing else there was no other space for anything else.
No.
Thank God, because I know that my connection with Lita and me being there 100% every day
Mm.
was what helped. I mean, she got herself through, but it definitely supported her in moving through it. And what I'm left with is the most deeply connected relationship with my daughter. And so, what a gift.
I mean, what you can't even value, put a price on that, right? It's
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Before we speak to the age menopause, because I think
Yeah.
we have to mention it because it's a theme. The age becomes a
Yeah.
theme in all
Yeah.
of.
Yeah.
Just let's circle back real quick because it's just such a beautiful moment that I don't want to be missed. When all of your girlfriends came to Bali and we went on the pilgrimage together, there was that one moment where the vision that you'd had in that Akashic record guided visualization, it, it there it was. Do you want to
Oh,
just quickly speak to
yeah.
that? Because I mean, that was
Mm.
pretty miraculous. And then
It
the
was,
painting,
yeah.
don't forget the painting at the end.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the whole trip was beyond I mean, it's what I do, right? Like I run retreats and, or what I did. Actually, no, I do again now. But
Yeah.
like, I know how to do it.
Yeah.
But this was so deeply personal. And every single thing about it, again, was kind of given to me. I mean, even before we get to that, I remember waking up in the night because that's what we do is we're awake between 1 and 3 or whatever. But I remember waking up and I would get these downloads of little things like little gifts that I wanted to give you guys, or what, and every time I would get one, literally the day or the day after, one of you would call me and say, I really want to do this, or can I bring this? And I remember for you, like one of them was, I was like, okay, what I'm really clear about is that I don't want to be facilitating anything.
Mm.
Yes, this is a kind of pilgrimage retreat, but I don't want to have my hat on in any way other than creating this journey.
Mm.
That is it. And to bring the people I love together and go and just see what magic happened.
Yeah.
But I also knew the caliber of everyone coming in terms of, who you are in the world. And I was like, oh, I'd love there to be some kind of structured, not structured, but gifts that everyone gifts each other, shall we say. And I remember the very next day you called me and was like, so I'm thinking about this and I'm a little bit nervous because I just done my training, but I want to do a breathwork session. I'm like, yes, of course you can. And
And it was so
was
fun.
profound, which was profound for everyone.
Yeah.
And then another one is that I'd got this vision, like I wanted to have a bespoke piece of jewelry for all of you. And in the middle of the night, I had this thing. I'm like, it's okay, it's an earring, but it's one earring. That's weird. And it's created, but I am the last person to be doing that because, my creative abilities, my making abilities are a little bit limited. 2 days later, Amelia called me and said, I have an idea. I want to run it by you. I need your help. And she wanted to create with her shaman, she wanted to collect feathers from the Amazon she wanted me to give the essence of every woman coming, so that the shaman could infuse these into a bespoke earring of feathers to gift to you all. And so I was getting the things, the visions first, and then you guys would just contact me 1 or 2 days later and go, I really want to bring this, I really want to do this. And I'm sitting there going, what? And that's when I knew this was happening regardless of whether I thought I had the money or not, regardless of any idea how I was going to pay for it. Like I knew it was happening because these things, these synchronistic things in the space in between, again, were happening. And then
Yeah.
it culminated on this, I think it was I don't know, day, I don't know, 5, 6, whatever, I don't know, they all kind of merged in the end. And we'd done this trek, and I'd split the journey into quite distinct parts. And this particular part was the spiritual, cultural journey through Bali. And it was this trek, and part of it was, staying with the Balinese in their compound and learning about their culture, but also like just moving through their land in a very conscious way.
It
And
was
then,
beautiful. It was so beautiful.
yeah, I mean, I was going to say I couldn't have made it up. Couldn't have done. I mean,
No,
because I didn't make any of this up.
no.
But I knew there was going to be, so a water ceremony, a purification journey is very Balinese, and it's one of their, core ceremonies. And I knew that there's so many touristy places. Like I just will not do that. But within this was our private ceremony with our private priest and our private waterfalls, caves, all the things. And I remember as I knew it was coming, so we came, we went on this trek and we came through to this clearing, and then I just saw these pools and waterfalls, and there was a cave. And I just stood there and I'm like, oh my God, this is it. Like, this is what I saw. And then there was a shaft of sun coming down, which is exactly what I'd seen in the vision. And of course, we're all in the water, being mermaids.
Being
Being
mermaids.
mermaids. And we
Yeah.
have this kind of beautiful ceremony. You go through various stages, and it culminated in us sitting in front of, it's kind of like a temple. I'm trying to remember. It's a temple, and we had the water behind us, and we had a priest, and this is, by the way, a couple of hours trek into the middle of nowhere, right? I mean,
Oh yeah. Yeah. There was nobody else around, and
there
it
was
was,
no one. No.
I mean, I was rebirthed in that place. I mean, that's a whole other story, but I
Yeah.
went into a cave and came out, and it was, it was something shifted deeply
Yeah.
in me in that experience. But yeah,
It,
carry
it was
on.
insane. So then the priest is, he's doing his thing and all the things that they do.
Mhm.
And we've all got our eyes closed. And as we sort of came to, Amelia was sitting next to me. And then she looked at me and she went, Jen, look over there. And I'm like, what? And I turned around, and there was this little bamboo bale, which is like just a little
Little
seat,
shrine
little
almost.
shrine, little with a rock kind of behind it and a little roof. And there on the rock, in the middle of the jungle, in the middle of nowhere, was this painting of this mermaid goddess. I mean,
But she
it,
looked like you
and she looked like me.
as well, on top of that.
I know. It was insane because I've been in Bali for 7, 8 years. I have never seen this goddess. I have never, because you see pictures around. Not once had I seen this. And so in this place where we're all in the water, we've just been blessed, we're in the caves, we're in the waterfalls, we're in all the things with the priest, there's the mermaid.
I mean, you just couldn't make it up, could you?
No. And if I had not listened and acted and gone full on leaning into faith and knowing, that would never have happened. And if I look now at the past year, where you guys, my favorite people in the world who didn't know each other, like some of you knew each other, but
Mm.
are
Yeah.
now so connected,
Yeah.
daily, daily, daily communicating what so many of you have been through in the last year. It's
Yeah.
insane. Like
And I
life
honestly,
stuff.
my movement through my own sacred void, like I can't imagine moving through that without that group. I mean, that
Yeah.
group has been a daily
Hmm.
anchor, daily support, daily inspiration. I mean, the conversation and the love and the sisterhood in there is on another level,
Yeah.
right? Because it's just a certain vibration amongst these women, and
And
y-
what we experienced. And remember, you all said yes to the call.
right,
It was a big deal.
Mm.
Like,
Yeah,
particularly you guys from the States. I mean, to fly to the other side of the world for 10 days or whatever it was, 9 days, can't remember. Um, yeah, I mean, everybody said yes to themselves. And that's a big financial, to get on the plane, people who got kids, yes, everything was taken care of when you got here, but, I'm well aware of
Mm.
what that took for
Mm.
everyone.
Mm.
And what I feel like, in this conversation, what I'm beginning to understand is that is absolutely right. What happened in the void, the most precious thing is connection and community. And I feel like that is our next evolution of consciousness now. Like we've done it alone for so long. I know we all talk about sisterhood and what have you, and maybe it's our age. I don't know, probably part of it. But I no longer want to do this on my own. I no longer want to be Jenny HK. It's not, having had everything stripped back to the point where the thing I could do, the one thing I could do is sit on a beanbag and have a coconut, and that be my treat, and have everything stripped away, like
Mm.
everything stripped away, financially, health, well-being of my daughter. Like there were deaths, there were all sorts of things that happened in the last 4 years.
Yeah.
And I've never been so abundant and grateful and actually happy than I am now.
You know, it's so interesting as I'm listening to you. You had so much stripped away. Our life journeys, you and I, have been different.
Yeah.
And I didn't have the experience of anything being stripped away in the void. I had the experience of could I hold and allow myself to receive more? Mine,
Mm.
it was different. I
Yeah.
don't quite know how to speak about it yet, if I'm honest. There was just I went through and I continue to now go through a phase of feeling so utterly supported
Mm.
by life, by people, by myself. I don't know. I just, there's such an abundance around me at the moment that, and there has been, and it took me a long time to be okay with receiving it.
Yeah.
That was my big challenge in the void was could I could I allow myself to really receive all the
Yeah.
things I'd been asking for and praying for and negotiating with God for so many
Yeah.
years? It finally was all coming through and came through, and there I was literally living the life I used to write visions about.
Do you remember the other day I messaged you and I was like, Katie, it's all happened.
Yeah, it's all happened.
Everything has happened. Everything that you so deeply, deeply desired has happened.
It has. And, you know, I've got, again, it's another podcast just to say, though, that I have a painting that a client of mine who's an extraordinary artist painted for me when I was single. This is Helen.
Yeah, yeah.
And when I was, her name's Helen Whitaker, by the way, for
Oh,
anybody who,
amazing. Yes.
who's listening, incredible fine artist. And she offered to paint me my vision. And at the time, my vision was to call in my empowered man and to live on Whale Beach, which is in the northern beaches of Sydney. And she, in this painting, which incorporated actual gold leaf, and she used the gold leaf to create an image of me with my head laying on the chest of my man, and you can see the profile of the man who is, it's James. I mean, it's
Yeah.
actually his profile. It's his bald head, his nose, his chin, like it's James. You couldn't make it up. And then there's Whale Beach, and we in a few months' time will be moving to the northern beach
Yes.
of Sydney. Now we don't have an address yet, but I'm telling you, we're looking, there's Whale Beach and there's two beaches either side of it. And that's
Yeah.
where we're looking. And so yeah, for me, this time in the void has been about opening up to receive.
Mm.
Like
Yeah.
enough with the stripping away, enough with the
Yeah.
loss, enough with the
Yeah.
grief, enough with all of it, which has been a lot of my story.
Yeah. Whereas mine was the opposite, right? It was like
Exactly, that's what I mean.
everything
Exactly.
so came so easy to me, and well, not easy, but it was, yeah, I've had a pretty blessed life.
Mhm.
Um, and so these were like real, like I said, it was initiation. Okay, so who am I with this? Who am I with this? Who am I, how am I going to show up in the world? It's all very well being able to show up in the world in a certain way when everything's lovely and da 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 da. But can you do it in the face of cancer? Can you do it in the face of, you know, your child not wanting to be around? Can you do it in the face of all these things? Um, and that is what I felt I was being asked to initiate, shall we say. And I'm going to say, I think I did it well.
You've done it incredibly well, and gifts of it continue. And I know, and I would love you to share what you're moving into now in terms of doing in the world has come from that place of being in your void and through the connections that you made while there. I mean, would you like to share where you're at now, what you're up to?
I I would. That's just another thought just popped into my head before that, though. One of the things that with the stripping down, that I had to move through and release was shame.
Oh, me too.
That's a big one. Like shame and not so much guilt, but shame. And my biggest point was around the financial piece, when it got to a point where I had to reach out to two ex-clients of mine, me being their coach, and ask for a loan. And that was like, okay. that, I really had to get myself into and move through the shame and move into what you're talking about, into receiving,
Yeah.
and all the work that I've done and the relationships that I've had and everything else. It's like, of course, well, why not? It's the thing that I, that's my kind of, definitely my renewed purpose in life. And that's one of the things why I did it with mermaids, was that I wanted to be able to create and gift and, give unconditionally. And I realized that actually, rather than this being a shameful thing to do, this was an opportunity. It was actually a gift for them as well. And that's how it worked out. So that's another important piece. Like, I think there's a lot of shame that comes up in the void. Like, I'm this age, I shouldn't be in this situation. I should be sorted by now. Da da da. Like all those shoulds that we're talking about. What you can be left with is shame. And so that is the other thing that I had to go to work on.
And I relate deeply because I spent months feeling ashamed of, for want of a better word, being a lady that lunches.
Yes, I love
I mean,
it.
I didn't really ever go for lunch with anybody. I mean, this wasn't
Yeah,
something I actually
I'm a
did.
lady that sits on the beach in coconuts.
Right. And I would just go for extended long walks in the woods with my dog. That was really
Yeah,
my version of it.
yeah,
Uh, and the shame of not financially contributing, the shame of money just feeling easy because I was attached to making it happen, to being a provider. Ever since I was 14, I had a job. My identity was deeply
yeah,
rooted in that. So not doing that anymore made me ashamed. And I apparently I had judgment for women that didn't contribute in the way that I always had to, which I had to let
yeah,
go.
yeah.
Right? Yeah.
All the things come up in the void, but it's
Uh,
for us.
And sorry, I know we were just about to talk about what you're up to next, but I
Yes.
do realize we were going to touch on the age. Is there anything you want to say about that? Because that is a theme.
Yeah, I don't want to spend a lot of time on that because it's like a whole conversation. But also,
Yeah.
what I would say in hindsight, when I look back, is that that whole period when I was going through kind of peri, and then I think 22. So not the whole period, but in 22, I hit menopause,
Right.
and then you realize, like, oh, menopause.
Pause.
Oh, it's a thing. And so
Ah,
it's the wisdom, again, it's the wisdom of the body. It's the wisdom of our knowing of, like, okay, I'm not going to listen up here. Like, it's not going to be like, oh, I'm going through menopause, so I'm going to take it easy. No, like, I didn't even realize. In fact, I was in this, like, oh, it's just not a thing. I mean, it clearly
yeah.
was a thing, but it wasn't a thing. And then when I look back, I'm like, oh, yeah, that was going on too. um, and it is a whole, yeah, like, identity shift.
Yep. And a rite of
Yeah.
passage into a brand new chapter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess that's what I want to say is that was going on. Um, and energy wise, I just didn't have any more energy to deal with any more than what I was dealing with, which was
Yeah.
quite a lot anyway. But like, I didn't have that I can push on through.
No,
So
it that drive, that hustle just leaves the building, doesn't it? It's
yeah,
like, I mean, for me, the
yeah,
language in my head was I can't.
yeah, yeah. I can't. And even if whenever I tried, I got stopped.
Yeah.
So
Right, right.
yeah.
So where has this pause led you to? What's you up
Mm.
to now, Jen?
What am I up to now? Well, I mean, the lovely lady now keeps on giving. So this is a whole podcast, and I'm going to make it as succinct as I can. But when I, as part of my community here in Bali, and which then became much more cohesive. One of my friends here, when I got out of surgery, because I couldn't really walk, she had been on her own journey and had created uh, she doesn't like me using the word sanctuary, but she created her own vision that she had, which was to um, build a safe space for Indonesian horses, and one in particular that had been abandoned during COVID. And she invited me to just come and see her place. She built this beautiful villa, and she said, just come see the horses. We'll just sit with them. And I'm like, what do you mean sit with a horse? That's terrifying. And long story short, I did go and sat with this particular horse called Xena and had this insane experience, which I know you've also had since as part of the pilgrimage, where Xena did this. I don't even know how to describe it. Healing it's not even the right word, but I had an experience with a horse which basically brought up all that was being stored. It was almost like a clearing out. And just in her presence, she's standing over me, and she's basically kind of doing Reiki as a horse. Is one way to describe it. Anyway, I had this huge release, and Joyce and I were like, what was that? And long story short, over 2 years, we would often go sit with the horses, and it was something she was interested in, and other people would hear my story and want to come, and so we created a few groups and blah blah blah, and then you guys came, and this was one of the experiences on the pilgrimage, and it was pretty profound for
It
you.
was, yeah, it was profound. It was a huge
Yeah.
part of my own healing journey. And again, a gift of me being in my own sacred void, being able to come to Bali, being able to relax into that whole experience and receive what I also received, which is like a reset from Xena.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. And again, this was something that I was doing because it was a yes for me to do. Like I wanted to. There
Mm.
was nothing kind of strategic or in it for me. Like if I do this, I'll do that. Like there was none of that.
Yeah.
And then sort of earlier this year, actually, I hadn't seen Joyce for a few months. Christmas, we were away, she was away, and I came back, and we both sat with Xena again, and some, which I'm not going to go into, but some miraculous things had happened in those 2 months for me. And of course, I'm telling these stories, and again, Xena comes over, and she's doing her thing, and then she goes to Joyce and she starts headbutting Joyce. And by this point, Joyce is kind of telepathic with Xena, and she's having this conversation, going, "Yeah, okay, 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 yeah, Xena, okay, all right." And I'm like, "What's she saying? What's she saying?" And it was basically what she was saying to Joyce is, "Joyce, you need to step up. I want to do this. You need to step up and do this as
Yeah,
something
like
structured, as
create
a
a structured space where I can heal and do my thing.
yeah." And the other part of the message is, and you need to do it with Jennie. And so we were like, oh, okay. And we didn't talk about it. It was the weirdest thing. We didn't say anything. 2 weeks later, we got together again. Um, and she said, "So Jen, what are you going to do?" And I there was something just came up for me, and I said, "Joyce," I said, "everyone's asking me this, like, what do you want?" And she just said, "I want to go into business with you. I want to work with the horses, with your mentorship, my knowledge of the horses. I want to do this together." And it was such a yes. Like it was a full body yes. We didn't need to talk about it again. It was just like, it was done. And then, so I guess that was end of March. And yeah, we've basically been creating ever since. And we officially launched this actually, well, now, basically. We've got our first retreat coming up in September, mid-September. And it is just unfolding. Like, I know there's nothing to work out, there's nothing to strategize. It's bringing all of my gifts, all of her gifts, my love of animals. One of the things that actually, I remember walking down the beach with Joyce one day and her saying, if money wasn't an object, what would you do? And I said, probably something with animals.
You.
And yeah,
Wow.
so she reminded me the other day. And so, but it just happened. And I am the last person, as you know, to be working with horses because I'm a little bit scared of them and I have no history of horses. But it is, I mean, we've said this so many times, you couldn't make it up. I didn't make it up. It's just happened. And it's a collaboration and it's partnership and it's fun and it's not work.
What is your Instagram? Because there's going to be people listening thinking, I need this in my life. What is it?
Yeah, everyone, yeah, nobody needs it, but my God, it's special. It's Blue Horse Bali.
Blue Horse Bali. Okay. And when is your first retreat? What are the dates?
So the 19th of September to the 21st. Yeah, in Bali. And it's, yeah, we've got a couple of spaces left, but we're already good to go. And yeah, creating it every day. It's just so exciting. It's so exciting. Yeah. And I could, that time in the void, like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? There's no way. This had to unfold in the most natural way possible. And you link all the dots. Every single thing that happened in the void has brought me to this place. From the cancer to the mermaid trip to all the other things I'm not going to talk about right now have brought me to this place. And yeah, it's really special.
Well, Jen, it's very inspiring. And I think for any women listening who are in their version of the void, or any that feel like it's knocking on the door and maybe they're not listening or heeding the call, maybe this
Mm,
give them permission to stop. And for those in it, with the frustrations and the shame and the whatever it is that needs to be excavated and moved through so that we can step into a more pure aligned identity, because I really feel that's what it's about. I think it
yeah.
really is about moving into the next chapter. Your body is undeniably inviting you to move into a new chapter, to move with a different rhythm, with a different respect and honoring of yourself and your body. And
And
yeah,
it's a different level of consciousness as well.
well, it is. It is a
That's
different
what
level.
actually what it is. Yeah.
Yes. And you enter it thinking, I mean, I entered it thinking, okay, so I'm resetting my career and I'm going to be shown something completely new and different. And that's actually not really what's happened. It's really the energy that I bring to what I do is different. I've
Yeah.
said before, my energy is less about leaning forward and making happen and more about
Mm.
sitting my energy sort of back and down. Like
Yeah.
I'm just more kind
I
of,
can feel that. Yeah.
yeah, more embodied and just it's subtle and also very powerful. But it's an identity shift, and I would call it a spiritual alignment that comes with it. And I think those of us that are called to take this time and move through this, I really believe those of us who listen to the call and take action in terms of don't do so much, where we're needed for wherever the world is going right
Yeah,
now,
exactly. Yeah.
right?
I'm so clear on that. Yeah. Yeah. Which is why so many of us, in this space of growth work, for want of a
Mm,
better word, have been experiencing this. Like
yes.
leadership has to be so embodied, and not, you know, this kind of masculine approach to the world. Like it's a structure that just doesn't work anymore. We can see it everywhere. It's crumbling, and so we have to do our own crumbling to be able to kind of emerge.
And then hold the space. Yeah. Which is what you're now doing alongside Joyce and the horses.
Yeah.
And it's what I'm doing in my work with, yeah,
Yeah.
my coaching groups. Yeah. Just holding that
Yeah.
space. And yeah, when needed.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I understand fully yet what for, but I sense
No,
that there's
no.
something coming.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not, like you said, it's not like we're doing anything different. So my work is no different. Yes, I have a new tool, but essentially as well, I'm still coaching. Well, it's not even coaching now. It's moved into mentorship, I would say, more.
Mm,
And, but it's so different. It is so different.
yeah. Exciting times. Well, my darling, thank you for your time and this inspiring conversation. I feel sure it has inspired many who will be listening.
Yes. And thank you. If you're still listening, thank you, because I know we don't do this quickly because there's so much.
It
And we
can't
only
be done
touched the
quickly.
surface. We only touch, and give yourself the space. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, any women in the void, they got the space to listen. So, hey.
Right. Exactly. I was talking about this with Joyce as a quick one yesterday. We were talking about Instagram and how it's this just quick, and reels full of quick shots here, quick shots here. I was like, I don't want to do any of that. That is where the problem lies, is to actually, whatever you're creating, like whether it's coming from your energy, for us through the horses, it is actually just to slow people down.
Yep.
Mm.
Yep. Here's to slowing down.
And to longer conversations.
And to longer, more juicy conversations. Thank you. Thank you again for your time.
Pleasure.
Emily. Wow. Wasn't that the most incredible conversation? I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. It revealed a lot for me personally, and it really helped me to connect the dots even more to my own experience of being inside the sacred void. If you resonated with any of what Jen and I were speaking of, and if you feel that you would like to be in connection and community with other women who really get it, who understand where you're at, and who want to evolve and expand and move into their next chapter in a conscious and aligned way, if you feel called to a space like that, a really high level space, I would love for you to come and join me in my world and the work that I am now doing. I am kicking that off with a free 5-day experience. It's essentially a women's circle. We will be in circle for 5 days. It's all online, and I'm calling it Awakened and Aligned. And through these 5 days, I am going to be your guide, and I'm going to be very gently helping you to crack open the door to perhaps what is next for you in your next chapter. I'm also going to be helping you become more comfortable with being still and with creating space to listen to the whispers of your own soul. Because I think we get to a space in life, like Jen and I were just speaking to, where it's time to stop, to slow down, and to really tune in and listen to ourselves so that we can move forward in a way more aligned way, where we've stripped back identity and we're just moving from the frequency of love. I really feel so deeply that's what it's all about now. And I feel so deeply that I am meant to guide those women that feel called to be with me and with a group of women like us. I'm meant to guide those spaces. So please, I will be leaving the link. You can register for the 5-day experience called Awakened and Aligned. It's happening in October 20 to 24, I believe. Don't quote me. It'll be in the information. And I really, really would love to meet you. Thank you again for being with us, and I'll see you on the next episode. See you later.